Water comes in many flavors to the discerning palate. Mondstadt's water is crisp and pure, while water from Liyue has an enduring aftertaste. In Inazuma, the water possesses a depth of flavor unlike any other. Sumeru's water, meanwhile, has a rich and complex flavor profile, but it must be savored patiently to fully appreciate it. Melusines are beautiful creatures. They are the pride of Fontaine. Be sure to befriend them and cause them no harm. Water comes in many flavors to the discerning palate. Mondstadt's water is crisp and pure, while water from Liyue has an enduring aftertaste. In Inazuma, the water possesses a depth of flavor unlike any other. Sumeru's water, meanwhile, has a rich and complex flavor profile, but it must be savored patiently to fully appreciate it. I see the value in my own work, but I also see the meaning in all the endeavors of the people of Fontaine. I believe I will continue to take pride in fulfilling my duties. Melusines are beautiful creatures. They are the pride of Fontaine. Be sure to befriend them and cause them no harm.
Solidify!
Hey! Shine down! There is no escape!
Gather! Stabilize!
Illusion shattered!
Hey! Everyone hold hands!
Please, sign here. This document will be effective immediately upon signing, and you two may exit the Fortress of Meripede via the regular channels.
It's been so long since we've been to the surface. Let's hurry up and... Huh?
What's happening? I'm fine, thanks. But I wonder what that tremor was just now.
Let's go ask the Duke.
Ah, good to see you two. Is there...
Yeah, what was with that earthquake just now?
Ah, that. The tremor didn't originate from the seafloor. In fact, it seems that over the years of serving as the warden here, I've developed a sense for distinguishing between what occurs on the surface and what occurs underwater. Besides, the seal that Monsieur Neuvillette set in place won't fail so easily.
So the fortress is okay?
If you recall our last incident, if there really were a problem, there would be crowds of inmates in a panic right now.
Huh, you've got a point. By the way, do you know what day it is today?
I believe today it...
Wait, seriously?
Ah, yes.
Yep. It's you two. Are you leaving now? That's right! Today is our last day in prison. But now that Paimon says that, it doesn't feel like we were confined here. It's actually been pretty nice. Oh yeah, Paimon feels fond of this place now. Then be sure to come back and visit. I'll miss you.
If you've signed the release papers, then you're free to go.
You're not going to see us off?
I knew you'd ask. All right, sure. Let's go.
Well, you actually agreed. No worries.
Ah, so you do have a polite side, I see.
After being down here for so long, I imagine you must feel like you're lacking companionship. Shall I come along too? Yeah, don't worry. We'll come back to see you. Paimon really likes the cafeteria here. The chefs sure do know how to make good grub.
I hope you won't be here as convicts the next time I see you.
We'll do our best to stay out of trouble. Well, it seems our work in the Fortress of Meripede is finished. That's the end of another chapter in our journey. And we should probably go You're going to see Monsieur Nervillette?
I'm sure just your regards will do, no?
I believe...
You're right. I've heard the Palais has...
The Palais Mermonia sure is buzzing with activity today.
Halt! Huh? Oh, it's you two. Apologies. Monsieur Nervillette did say you'd be welcome at any time.
Excuse me, would you mind helping me take a look at this report?
I'll be right there. Sorry, I've got my hands full here. You can see yourselves in.
Everyone's so busy. Seems a... Nervillette!
Hello. You've come at the right time, but you'll have to wait for just a moment, as there are some urgent matters I must tend to first. In the meantime, please, have a seat. If you'd like to have something to drink, let the Melusine outside know.
That's all right. We just ate.
Very well, then.
Let's take a break over there while we wait for him to finish his work.
All right. That should wrap things up for now.
Are you done with your work?
Yes, sorry to keep you waiting. Today should be the day you were released from the Fortress of Meripede, and it appears that you've managed to complete all the release paperwork.
That's right, and we came here to see you right away.
A massive whale.
Do you have any idea what that might be?
Judging from your description, that cannot have occurred in any ordinary waters, but rather something like the primordial sea. A whale of that size and shape cannot usually be found in the waters of Tevat. Therefore, we can only assume that Child is presently immersed in primordial seawater.
Immersed in primordial seawater? But how? Does he okay?
Most people wouldn't be capable of entering in the first place. I'm not completely sure how he could have gotten there myself. Yes? What is it?
Ah, right! Paimon felt it too! We asked the Duke and he said it wasn't from underwater, so we figured you might know something about it.
It turns out that I have just received a report about this particular matter. In fact, that's exactly what I was busy with a moment ago. The source of the tremor was here on the surface near Poisson. After the shaking stopped, the water levels in the Poisson area...
The water levels rose?
Fortunately, the water levels only rose for a short period of time, and have already returned to normal now. If the change in water levels is connected with the leaking primordial seawater, then the situation in Poisson may be much...
Navia should be in Poisson, right? We need to go check on her!
I would also like to go there as soon as possible, but I'm afraid I can't leave just yet. We must immediately formulate disaster prevention plans for the surrounding coastal areas to avoid potential catastrophes. I'll have to ask you two to go to Poisson first. I'll meet you there to check on the situation once I finish things here.
There's no time to lose! Let's get going!
Please be careful.
here, right? We need to make sure she's still... Paimon means we need to check on her. We haven't seen a single soul all the way here. Oh, this is getting scary.
What will I ever do now?
Look, there's someone on the roof over there.
Just stay put. We're coming up. Watch your balance.
All right, just hurry. I'm not young anymore. How will I survive on my own? My Desiree!
Oh, he looks pretty sad.
My leg! My leg! How could this have happened? It hurts!
Just hang in there. Help is on the way. You can hold my hand if it makes you feel better.
Oh, it's Navia. She's over there. Hey, Navia, are you okay?
You're here.
We heard there was a situation in Poisson, so we came as quickly as we could.
Yes. As you can see, the water level suddenly rose. It caused quite the disturbance, in fact.
Demoiselle! There was a wounded resident next to a building southeast of here. We've already transported him to safety, but we've run out of medical supplies.
He's wounded? How badly?
He fell, so it's probably a broken leg. He's pretty shaken up. When the water level rose, he desperately climbed up to the roof. Once the water receded and he saw the ground, he became terrified and eventually...
He jumped down then. Find the leader of Squad 1 and tell him to take the wounded resident to see a doctor. He should know where to go.
Understood. I'll take over his search and rescue mission in the meantime.
All right. You'll be in charge. I'm sorry. Where were we?
The situation in Poisson?
Ah, right. Allow me to explain. A little earlier, we suddenly heard a loud noise. At first, everyone thought that something might have exploded in the waterways. But before we knew it, water started pouring out from everywhere. The rushing water seemed a little odd, almost like the unique color of primordial seawater. Some people didn't realize the danger and thought it was just ordinary water. Everyone on the street who happened to be close to the water didn't have a chance to escape. Those who realized what was happening started to flee, and the Spina di Rosula initiated rescue operations as quickly as possible. But there have been a lot of casualties. Fortunately, the water that flooded the area contained primordial seawater, so the lower levels of Poisson are still hazardous. To ensure no one knows if this could happen again. All we can do for now is...
How awful.
It was quite frightening indeed. I hope...
Is there any way we can help, Navia?
Thank you for being so willing to help in a moment of crisis like this. You don't know how much it means to me. I really... can't...
Don't say that, Navia. That's what friends are for.
Demoiselle! We've got a situation here!
Sorry. I need to go for now.
And off she goes.
Okay, The wounded are being tended to, and we finished. Of course, Traveler. Paimon.
Huh? Right now?
Thank you.
Ah, my apologies. This heavy rain must be quite an inconvenience for you.
Not a lot of people here, huh?
Well, given the time of day and the whole...
Right. That's how things are now. The living are so exhausted that they've no strength to spare any words for the dead.
Navia? Navia, what's...
Sorry. I just... Malus and Silver. They won't ever come back here again. What should I do, Papa?
Huh? What happened to them?
Everyone agreed on the rescue plan, but still, I was the one who initiated it. They were helping evacuate the residents, but they couldn't leave in time, and...
What should we do?
I've known them for so long. And I know they weren't afraid. But I could at least hold a funeral for my father. And I know where he rests. But as for Malus and Silver, they're just...
Everything looks so clean after it rains. Even the gravestones. I didn't expect that you'd enjoy a glass of red wine in front of Master Callus's grave.
I can understand. Besides, the scenery here isn't half bad.
See, it's not just me. I always want to bring something when I visit Papa. Perhaps we might even have a picnic. He wouldn't be angry, would he?
How could Master ever be upset with you, Demoiselle? Yet the cemetery is the home of those who have passed, is it not? Everyone ends up here sooner or later, no matter who you are.
Buying yourself a plot in advance, are you?
No need yet. But when I do, I hope you'll let me be buried beside Master Callus.
Hey!
I'm quite serious. That way, it will say...
That makes sense. In that case...
After all, besides you, Demoiselle, the two of us could...
Personally, I believe...
Why are you bringing this up all of a sudden? Seriously.
But I'd really prefer not to talk about this stuff. And what do you mean by saving me a trip?
I'd promised to let them rest in peace here. But here I am breaking that promise. I'm sorry for letting you see me in a mess like this.
Paimon doesn't know how to help you feel better.
I had always thought I could make my wishes come true. Malus and Silver have helped. I'm so sorry.
You can spend as much time as you need here, Navia.
Thank you. By the way, you can have a look at this.
Obana... Khan, so...
It's okay. I know what you're thinking. And the overall outcome indicates that the cost was worth it.
Right! Don't think that way, Navia. Malus and Silver...
You're right. Thank you. What you said just now was...
Oh!
Seems you've become more eloquent in the time since we last met.
The knave? What are you doing here?
Is everything going well on your side?
Yes, my people are carrying out the mission according to your request. All the residents of Poisson have been evacuated, and we're preparing to relocate them to higher ground. As for these supplies, we have everything taken care of. There is no need to worry.
Thank you very much.
Wait, do you two know each other?
We just met recently. Right, Miss Navia?
Usually, I would call this a coincidental encounter, but that doesn't quite fit this time. Besides, it never even crossed my mind that a Fatui Harbinger would come looking for me. Thanks to the Knave, Spina di Rosula received generous support from the Fatui, which allowed us to complete the rescue and evacuation work so quickly.
Mutual aid is essential to fostering positive developments. We were already in the area, in any case, so it was nothing. That said, I must say that you're a lot sharper than you let on. I'm sure you understand what I mean.
I apologize for all the ways in which I tested you previously. We've never worked with a Fatui before, and it's extremely important for us to know who we're working with. My subordinates have reported that Fatui soldiers have been observing water levels and taking head counts in various locations. I hear that they've also prepared a large amount of emergency supplies. I'm quite surprised.
This is nothing to brag about, nor do I intend to. It is simply the way of powerful organizations to act forcefully, whether they are doing good or ill. You've witnessed that firsthand, in any case. As I've told this traveler before, I know of the prophecy, and I intend to prevent the impending disaster. Lending your organization a hand was a natural first step in accomplishing that. As such, do not be troubled by this token of our sincerity. Perhaps one day, you'll also be able to help me in the same way.
Without your help, there would have been many more casualties.
Furthermore, I sincerely regret what happened to Malus and Silver.
Don't say that. As Paimon said, Malus and Silver didn't choose to sacrifice themselves for any specific person. And they weren't the price paid for other salvation. They chose to become heroes themselves. I've never liked hearing people put it that way. It's like trying to relieve pain by saying some noble-sounding words.
You're right. I'm sorry for... Water is life.
So, you're one...
Of course. That is why I'm going to Hotel Bouffe de Thé. By the way, traveler, Paimon, one more thing.
Alright, then we'll just...
That is a clever and useful conversation technique, which I do like to use when necessary. Traveler, I'm sure you remember that I said we could work together when we had the chance. You and I both know that there may be issues with the Primordial Sea. Previously, it was the Fortress of Meripede's sluice gate, and this time it was the water levels in Poisson. These are both sick. Indeed. Allow me to share the latest intel I've received from the House of the Hearth's intelligence network with you. During some recent investigations, a child claimed to have discovered some ruins near Poisson. The ruins date back to ancient times, and seem to be worth investigating in many ways. Judging by the dating of the ruins, they may be related to the prophecy and the coming crisis. The situation is becoming more urgent, so any pertinent information will prove extremely precious. My people initially came to prepare for ruin exploration. Unexpectedly, this disaster struck.
So that's why the Fatui were all...
I wanted to take the children along, but unfortunately, Linny, Lynette, and Fremine have all been dispatched to higher ground to assist affected residents. Linny told me that outside of the house, the person they trust most is you, which is why I want to give you this task. The House of the Hearth's members see each other as family, but Linny, Lynette, and Fremine said that they also see you as such, even though you are not from the house. I'm sure you already understand how earnest they consider their friendship with you to be.
Oh! That somehow makes Paimon feel kinda happy.
The intel I just shared about the ruins could fetch a high price. But since the children can...
Got it! So all we gotta do is go to some ruins, right?
Excuse me, but may I tag along?
You wish to join, Miss Navia?
But are you sure you're up to
Well, I'm sad, yet there's no point in being depressed. Besides,
Since you put it that way, I have no objections. What do you say? All right. The ruins are to the south of Poisson.
Okay, the three of us will... So, are these the ruins the knave was talking about?
They seem to be pretty ancient.
Let's go in.
Just speak.
Shine down!
Stabilize!
I see everything.
Let the mighty be humble! Silence!
Dada Kundala.
Floor here isn't safe. This place has also been contaminated by primordial seawater.
Yeah. And a lot of it, too. A Fontanian would most likely dissolve the moment they fell in.
Right! You can't go down if there's primordial seawater. It's too dangerous, and it won't be any help for you to just stay here. Don't get Paimon wrong. We're not.
No, you're right. I can't do anything in this situation. I'll leave this to you. That complicates things. Maybe the only way left is forward.
In that case, do you want to wait for us here?
The water levels here are unstable, and there's a chance the water will rise. I'll go together with you. Perhaps we'll find the exit just up ahead.
All right. Come. Oh no, it's a dead end! Let's try climbing over from the side.
There is no escape!
Settle down!
Wait,
Demoiselle?
Huh?
Demoiselle, what are you doing here by yourself? Would you be standing here till dark if I hadn't come to get you?
Maybe she just wants some time to herself, Malus.
Hmm? Oh. Was I sleeping?
Yes, it would appear so.
I must be tired.
That's quite possible. However, you were the one that suggested we go out for a walk.
Oh, right. I nearly forgot. It must have slipped my mind when I dozed off. I haven't had a nap today yet. Have I? This is a familiar feeling, yet...
Is something the matter, Demoiselle?
Oh, no. No, I'm fine. I was just trying to recall why we came out for a walk.
Do you remember Mr. Giverny? He'd requested our help before.
We were headed to see how
Ah, right.
Oh? Miss Navia. Ah, Mr. Malus. And Mr. Silver, too.
How have you...
I've been great. Thanks to your help, those bothersome merchants finally realized that I wasn't the one they were looking for. Why, I wasn't even the guarantor for that person. They were knocking at my door day and night. Even my neighbor, Obina, was getting fed up with them.
Sometimes force is required to calm someone down and...
That's right.
Oh, yes. Miss Navia, these are some flower seeds that I prepared. Please take them. I don't know what we would have done with...
Did you call...
Why, we can have as many pots as you'd like, Demoiselle.
Perfect. In that case, we'll swap out some of the decorative plants for some of Mrs...
Very well.
Wait. Excuse me, madam. If I'm not mistaken, your name is Burnett, correct?
That's right. Is something wrong?
No, it's nothing. This is the first time we've ever met, but your name seemed familiar to me. I've heard this name before. And why are there so few people around here?
We must mind the time, Demoiselle. We still have important...
Huh? We do?
Well, now, did you forget?
Miss Navia, here you are. I've been looking for you. Please...
My trial?
Yes, she's right, Demoiselle. It's just about time now.
Oh?
Look, it's Navia! She's here!
And her two attendants are with her. Goodness, everyone's finally here.
There sure are a lot of people here to see the trial. And they all seem to be Ocarina, Desiree, Joyville, Jolien, Essen. What? And as for the judge... Huh?
Please sit in the defendant's seat. Don't worry, Silver and I shall accompany you.
All right. But are you sure you can stand behind me?
Typically, it wouldn't be allowed, but...
Hey, what kind of place do they think this is?
Come on, do they have any idea what they're doing?
Seriously.
Enough with the whispering!
My dear Miss Navia, have you not yet realized what you've done? As all here know, you are after you took over the Spina, you treated all of us just like the late Master Cap. Not only you, but your butler, your...
Wait a moment.
Yes, correct. We are one big family. Therefore, this fair and honorable court shall declare you...
Huh? Everything...
Ah, well...
How wonderful!
I know all these people. Why are they laughing?
I seem to remember now.
Wait just a moment. This isn't right!
Malus?
What was that, Mr. Malus? Our conclusion is very clear and unanimous. Let the court judge her now. She's...
Stay here, Navia! You're one of us!
Demoiselle, don't admit guilt. This trial means to keep you here forever.
I wish to exercise my right to defend Our Lady. Mr. Joinville, you only know of Navia's goodness, but nothing of her utterly independent mind.
She was born a free and independent spirit.
Her actions cannot... Please do not mistake her action.
Really? As an individual, you say? Don't forget, we are all Fontanians here. Even if Miss Navi, everything is measured here. Now I speak for everyone. Our opinion is consistent. Navia should stay.
And you would call this justice? Preposterous. You are merely jealous that Demoiselle still has a chance to exist as an individual. Have you forgotten how much you all once longed to become individuals?
Do you mean to defy our justice? If your justice is flawed, then why should we acknowledge it?
As you said, we can also have our own justice. And that.
My head.
Demoiselle.
Silver. I remember now. Everything that seemed odd, Karina, Desiree, Joyville, Jolien, Essen, and Mr. Giverny and Mrs. Burnett, who we met earlier. Even Malus and Silver. I don't want to admit it, but they're all dead.
Don't be afraid, and don't admit guilt.
Absurd! Who are you to say that she cannot be judged? We are the majority. Don't let them escape! We shall—
Mr. Malus and Mr. Silver, must you be so stubborn? How could the two of you possibly hope to stand against the collective? Do not resist. This judgment is fair and just. Navia belongs to us. After all that happened, she should not be left alone in Poisson.
What are you saying?
No more excuses!
He says we're jealous. Jealous? How could she possibly be an—
What's with these people?
Who's jealous of her?
She belongs to us!
Miss Navi.
Silence!
That's... Monsieur Neuvillette!
Such commotion is prohibited in the court. The court will adjourn for the rest of the day.
Our thanks, Miss.
Please leave with me, Miss Navia, while there is still time.
But...
Go on now, demoiselle. This is your only chance.
Malus.
My apologies. I couldn't resist making one little joke once I realized that...
Malus... Silver...
Quickly, you
Goodbye.
Farewell.
No, wait! Just a second!
Navia?
You're awake? Good.
I must have been dreaming. Malus and Silver were still alive, and they were defending me at some insane trial.
It looks like you're all right.
Did all the sad feelings cause you to have a nightmare? Paimon could give you—
The ruins you were exploring suffered a cave-in. When I arrived, I found you falling toward the water. You were just about to be dissolved within, but I think I saw 2 Oceanids protecting you. It was only for a moment, perhaps even a fraction of a second, but they gave me the chance to retrieve you. Were it not for their intervention, I would not have been able to rescue you before your consciousness dissipated.
Wait, did you say Oceanids? You mean like what happened with Vache?
Perhaps those 2 Oceanids were the people you saw in your dream.
I always told them that they didn't have to protect me. To think that they'd keep doing so even after death.
Please come with me.
Neuvillette, are you okay?
Oh, I am quite all right. Perhaps there's something we...
Why do you look so stiff all of a sudden? Oh, Paimon knows. You're the type who feels awkward when there's nothing to talk about, right?
I merely thought that we should give Navia some time to herself.
Huh? Why didn't you just say so then? Don't you...
Ah, Sigewinne. I hope all is well with her these days. Her work in the Fortress of Meropide has not been too much for her, has it?
No way! Don't worry. She's doing fine down there. She's an amazing head nurse.
I see. Well, that is good. I have always worried that Sigewinne would need a lot of...
Oh, and the Duke also says hi. Even though Sigewinne made him do that. He hopes that you haven't been overwhelmed by all that's happened lately.
Thank you. I have indeed been busy lately, And I also hope that everything is going well in the fortress of Meropide.
He still doesn't know what to talk about. Never... this isn't going anywhere.
Yes, in fact. I had arranged to meet you in Poisson, but when I arrived, I discovered that the Fatui were helping the residents evacuate. They had even transported a large quantity of supplies to the area. Amid my astonishment, I ran into the knave, and we had a chat. She informed me that she had asked you to investigate the ancient ruins here.
Yeah, we originally planned to meet up with you, but we thought you might still be busy with all those official documents. We didn't...
I'm sorry to have kept you all waiting like that. I'm feeling much better now. I guess we should get going again. Will you come with us, Monsieur Neuvillette?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind my company.
All right! Another one joins the party! Let's get going then!
Order guide you. Silence!
Dada Kundala.
Oh no, another unstable path. Watch your step.
Illusion shattered!
I will have order. Stabilize.
The tides beckon.
Looks like we've reached the end.
This is the place. There should not be any other hidden spaces in the vicinity.
The path sure had some twists and turns, but it turns out that this place isn't actually that big.
Stone slates. It seems like they were put here as an...
Perhaps we should just leave them be for...
There are 4 locations in total, but only 3 stone slates. The slate that should be in the first empty spot is missing.
The surrounding walls also show signs of damage.
There's something written below. Let Paimon see. Reason dictates that this nation be destroyed. I shall record the history of its future here in its past. Say what?
It feels like someone left these slates and these words here for a purpose. But does he mean that Fontaine should be destroyed?
That would fit the circumstances dictated by the prophecy, yes. Indeed, the slate's contents correspond to it. Take the second slate, for example.
There's a person kneeling here. She seems so dedicated. And there's a whole bunch of other people behind her doing the same. She's facing this...
And is that Lady Farina in the third image? Did the Hydro Archon fall into the water?
And is that a ring of people around her? Paimon doesn't quite get it. Are they all in the water?
The fourth image. I know this one. This exactly matches the content of the prophecy.
The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain, weeping on her throne. More information should be hidden in these slates, but I fear I cannot easily uncover it. Most likely due to us missing the
Don't blame yourself, Monsieur Neuvillette.
Ooh, Paimon's getting the chills just looking at these slates. This says that it's the history of the future, right?
I really hope it does.
Still...
That's right! If the images are in chronological order, shouldn't the fourth, the waters drowning Fontaine, come before the third, where the Hydro Archon herself falls into the water?
And yet the order is reversed here.
If we go by timing, Lady Farina only emerges in the third image. That means that the person in the second image might be the previous Hydro Archon.
Egeria, then. I had never met her, but her appearance here does match the records. The previous Archon kneeling before the floating island in the skies, as if confessing a sin.
Did she herself commit that sin? And if not, why would she be in such a posture? Also, I'm still wondering why these ancient stone slates are here at all. Judging from their contents, could this place be the origin of the prophecy?
But who would have created these slates and left these words here?
It seems that any further clues will have to come from Farina.
In that case, there's no time to lose.
Yeah, we better get somewhere safe for now.
Let's split up here. I'm going to check on what's happening with the Spina. You know...
You still have energy?
Just head back...
I'll depart as well. Thanks for your hard work, Traveler. I will go talk to Farina tomorrow morning to ask about... I'm sure that you're concerned about this matter as well. If you have time, drop by my office.
Are you really gonna talk talk to her about this.
She has long been harboring secret.
All right,
I will be carefully considered.
Traveler, Paimon, our safe house at the Fleuve Cendre is always open to you as... All right.
We're finally back!
Welcome back.
Yay! And there's good food too! Paimon's already starting to forgive.
Oh, that voice. Is that who I think it is?
Huh?
It's you two. What are you doing in Fontaine?
Mona?
Seriously, nobody just uses a scry glass whenever they've got time to just see who they'll meet on the road.
Still, we didn't expect to see you here. Wait, you're not a Fontanian, are you, Mona?
Well, I have some business to attend to here, so I booked a hotel in the city. I was just out for a stroll. Why did you think I was from Fontaine, though? Is that because Magistus doesn't sound much like a
yeah.
Well, I used to have my own surname, which was, well, some other thing. Either way, the old hag told me when she took me as her disciple that the first step to being a great astrologist's pupil was to change that name. There was nothing for it, really. She really is amazing at astrology, so
it is...
Nope. Although it is used by us in...
Wow! Imagine
I reckon so. In any case, I'd give my disciple a name like this as well, if I were to take one. Astromancer Barbeloth Trismegistus.
Whoa, that's a long one.
My name means Mona the Great Astrologist. As for the old hag, hers is, in plain speech, the thrice-as-great Scholar of the Stars. Just take...
Thrice as great? That's so... petty.
I know, right? Let's
talk about excessive.
Magistus is thus the calling card of our school, so to speak.
That sounds terrible. But anyway, you're not fun.
Well, I was born in Mont.
Oh, that's a good...
Speaking of that, there's something ominous about it. Well, the water, I mean. That was the main reason, yes. The invitation was sent quite early.
What do you make of that, Prophet?
What I can tell you, I'm afraid that on the flip side...
A visionary?
Of course. The old hag could do it. And I'd bet there are others amongst those Hexenzirkel
Thanks, Mona. You're...
Oh, well...
That's the greatest of astrologists!
Indeed, indeed!
Oh, sorry. I came to see what all the commotion was about. If the...
Oh, whoops. Guess we were getting a little too carried away there. Well, I'll go tend to my own business now.
And there she goes, quick as rushing water. And here we are with the Spina guy giving us suspicious looks. Right, but we were able to recruit Mona's help. Good morning. To be honest, Paimon's still feeling. But it's time to get up, traveler.
You're here! Finally!
Is something wrong?
Monsieur Nurvelet and Lady Farina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute. Please go see for yourself.
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor, are you not? Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent Poisson incident.
You mean...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson.
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that, but you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 featured different images that seemed to correlate to the prophecy.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about—
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool. And yet...
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know there's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. Just trust in me. You're Archon. That's all I have to say. We do not Oh! The opera's about to stop.
Did Farina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her.
I assume you've been outside for a while.
Oh! You noticed! Seems...
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so... Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. I fear we may have to create a situation in...
Oh?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the...
But Farina's seen so many...
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties. If at all possible, I would... This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crime. But who will lend us their aid?
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what family should do.
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me?
Then, how about you, good sir?
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things.
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend here, the Traveler, has brought us together to discuss something. As for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our efforts together to
Oh? How intriguing.
Well, it's just an expression, really.
Huh? Didn't you say that you would be facilitating this?
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance.
I see.
He is glad that you consider him your boss. Do go on.
In that case, do any of you have experience hunting?
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger.
I'm afraid not. You may or may, though that was their name, they did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty of King Remus. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. They even left a unique methodology of hunting in their wake. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger. So, if we were to build...
For me, I would prefer something Our line of work requires...
You use some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson.
Yes, and
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer...
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion...
I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it.
What about you, Monsieur Neville?
I fear I do not have any related experience.
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without the use of any such tricks. But I do have one more question for you, Monsieur. If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey.
Kind as always. However, if we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured.
Wait, what?
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunt... But we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god. A being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Oh, so that's what's going...
It's been a tough few days at... Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon... it's hard to say. After all, you're the most reliable person in the world. Did you just pour some... Paimon's never seen that cup...
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea. I mere...
Who's that voice?
Aw, have you forgotten me already?
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
The voice from the sky, I fear that you're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previous. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Tevat so easily be changed? So you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods. Could things be happening in hidden corners, where the god's gaze does not fall? Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about? all sounds really
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant, but others you must reach out to change. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. All you need to do is to play your part. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, that'll be all for today.
The voice. It's gone.
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Mona!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be not all Fontanians are...
did she have...
Why, yes! It was Charlotte. You remember her, right? That daredevil journalist. I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered?
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for once.
Ah, yes. About what we had discussed before. Huh? Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times. She said that N's sense of direction is incredible, and that she loves guiding those who are lost, but I've never met her. And if she were still alive, she'd be... well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and N's been around for longer than that.
Whoa. The Hexen Circle sounds...
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then the...
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means perhaps it is some... Traveler, Paimon?
Oh, we're fine.
I see. I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. But even so, perhaps that's what N was trying to tell you. I did originally think of steering clear of all this, but I couldn't.
Huh. You do have a point.
There I go. It was worth trying to comfort. I suppose that might be...
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. Hey, Traveler. Paimon suddenly feels... Let's walk around the city, shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk by. Huh? Our names are written in this newspaper. Let Paimon see. The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, had my recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report? A blonde adventurer. So while the fortress is in journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet, the Traveler... Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed her. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the subject matter instead? Ugh, seriously? Well, fine. It's the limited edition, only 16 slices a day cake! It was so delicious the last time we tried it, despite the
One slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all. Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Nerva...
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore? What would you think?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but...
Oh, the prophecy. No, it's the...
Huh.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans call being sad.
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now.
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. Paimon's sure this cake will be delicious. It's more delicious than last time. Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious. Oh, we're near the Steambird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon!
Ha! You've got some nerve! You just used us to make some quick mora!
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It appeared... It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even...
Really?
You're almost a...
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see...
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Nice. In which...
Huh? So you're...
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was...
Yeah. Are we...
Why not? If...
Oh, in that case...
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! Ooh, so much to...
Wait, Charlotte. Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If... Just for example...
Huh. That's the prophecy. If you're seriously asking, then I might try... From what I've seen, most... So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview. Just think about it. If this nation... And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story. I'm not a dreamer. No, but anyway, that's my...
That's so nice. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow. No, Paimon should ask... We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time... You mean, still traveling? Huh. Feels like he'll grow more, but it's still better than the...
So the 2 of you are still here.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Not at all. Yes, inside the...
A riot?
Well, that said, Lady Farina was loudly accusing her of, and before she could respond, the crowd continued to grow.
So people have started to put the blame on...
I agree.
So what happened after that is...
Seeing that the situation with the Marechaussee Phantom had their...
So...
That's right. The March... That said, I don't think there's good.
Don't worry, this is...
Is that...
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then. If we know Farina, and as we also... When Nervalet was... It would be hard for... Paimon thinks for... Huh. Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis. In that case, there's not a moment... This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. That's Farina, right over there.
Should I just give up? What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point. I'm sorry, but what can I even do? Other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over. Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina. It's just us. Farina, you were crying just...
Who did that they even Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marechaussee Phantom are freaking out right now.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just... That's against the...
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her! This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here! Quick, come to Paimon!
What?
Hurry, they're almost...
Fine, I suppose... I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening?
Yeah, a quake of this kind.
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so...
Yeah, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times. Especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but don't take any of what I—
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were—
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just—
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your—
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on? I just...
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what—
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. I will admit that I've been running away for— I'm sorry, everyone. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in— But now, I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world this time. Applaud and rejoice. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of
Woohoo! Oh, no. Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Also, even though she's still acting super—
All right, then.
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak. Also, please allow me to ask, Mazzy, just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, We did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were
Navia, the president of...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as... Moreover, according to our So, we arranged for a second group.
So, you mean...
And their goal was to...
That's right.
As the super ultimate version, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Araneas. Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a...
So, in other words, the earthquake that...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess you gathered a crowd. Prepare to stay. Also that as soon as...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must... As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived on...
Oh?
It's fine. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, let Paimon see. Wait. Then, so in other words, we can refer to this anthology. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part. I didn't. This is the first time, Monsieur. According to the words of someone as
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, nervy Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As, of course, it is only natural for...
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I...
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine.
Yeah, even though Lady
Yeah, I've never...
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever... See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show if you wish to drop...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's...
Well, and if I were...
That doesn't sound... You may be a member of another.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave?
A curse. I once thought it possible that but in light of this claim...
You sensed it too, huh, Neverlet?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god. For centuries, one need only to turn their eyes towards the...
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you...
Didn't I make myself clear at the time?
Lady Farina, I believe while the court is in you will prove yourself unable to defend...
I never thought.
That was no trick of rhetoric.
So, you neither knew why Child was instead of having been...
The real Hydro Archon. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine...
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power.
My power as an Archon...
If that poses a concern...
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or...
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons thus did I get...
Isn't that...
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called...
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's
Hey, come now, everyone! I'm still displeased.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has...
Did she deceive all of us?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if you have no...
Wow, she came up with yet another... that doesn't sound... that doesn't... It has been established that all Fontanians...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use...
Miss Navia.
Super sorry, Mr. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. So, if we are to believe that you are in... But, if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the
Navia from the Spina di If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she...
Lady Farina, this test...
Well, of course he had to tell her that.
She's just staring at...
What's going on?
Due to the inherent risk of the...
Hey! I'm fine! Look at me, will you believe me now?
Miss Siegewing? If you are present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and
Siege? Don't be nervous. It'll just...
Please announce the results of your evaluation.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans.
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved.
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare it. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. We don't want anyone else.
Yeah, so out of regard, it's a great thing that the
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone. Think about it. Also, if... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's...
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty to be punished via the death sentence.
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice?
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's... Is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still...
Fremine! You finally made it.
Mm-hmm. Any mission, Father...
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a... But has the trial already concluded? Then... doesn't that mean...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. I would like you to come here...
Huh? So what do you see? What is...
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's... so when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the content... The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, then perhaps this process can be reversed as well. The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question... That doesn't sound quite...
We know from the case of the serial disappearance and the this... Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before, and the original...
That doesn't sound quite right. That doesn't sound...
It's not as simple as falling into the sea. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing? The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society. But the fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontainians if we hadn't dealt with it in time.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the... The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court. Shocking... Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. And the eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy's contents can... Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! But then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate. That could also explain why the
Hydro Archon's true sin?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like with Navia? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make it... I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So you...
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the 3rd slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. what you're saying is, even though in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as—
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Is this what it feels like to be a prisoner of fate?
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions about the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
That doesn't sound...
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the opera house? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea,
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form...
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case—
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have... From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the Primordial Sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something we've already done everything. We've come so...
Indeed. That's not...
I'll fight it to the end.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may be... Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass, and as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, Ostensibly, I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon, alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy, under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of... I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, it's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my august self, but I must ask you to keep to the rules. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from my performance. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me.
escape!
Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough. Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Shine down!
Farina. Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you.
Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh?
Mirror me.
The prophecy. Have you heard?
What prophecy? The people will all.
Oh.
What's. But. Does.
I will tell you how.
Oh. As for. But. If there were.
I suppose this.
Huh?
Don't worry.
Play as.
That's right. If you can keep it up.
But. How will I.
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. Being a human yourself. Remember, you.
I'm still not sure So, how long?
To accomplish this mission. But I promise you, all.
Trial. Huh. The maze. What should I say? Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Opera Epiclé. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Farina de Fontaine. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor to guide you all as the god Focalor, the god of justice. I shall do all within my power to lead you into an age of fairness and justice. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them to the Maison Cardinalise. The future of Fontaine will require us to work together, after all. I thought I might stammer, but
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpassed.
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest.
If you ask me,
Perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just—
Wait, what's going on? Right. Mirror me, calm down, Farina. Assertive, with a Oh, now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership of this opera house, would the children of Fontaine follow them? Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you are qualified to witness wondrous trials alongside my august self, here in this opera house. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut that suited the atmosphere. Now then, let us be reintroduced.
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms amid sin. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its God. On one side, it must carry fairness and justice. And on the other, praise and applause. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink to the future of Fontaine. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that is needed is for you, my people, to believe in it, heart and soul. So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I stand before the Oratrice, I shall even judge the gods of this world!
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports as well as a summary.
Come now, was I not just at the Opera House in person? Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
If I may be so impertinent, what—
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to end all things. How could you hope to understand?
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duties. The trial I await. It will come one day.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Long have you stood in line to meet me, have you not? Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable consequence of my divine charm. All right, Deoteria, is it? How is your son's illness?
You remembered me. He is doing much better. You're so—
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you
I see. It's as I thought then. As all manner of signs indicate that...
well...
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found any of...
Oh, is that so? Well, no... The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment to breathe, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. Maybe this is fine. Alright, Farina, don't...
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already. There's no need to go back...
Lady Farina, I've waited so...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen. This joyous moment...
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. I don't think I let anything slip today. I just don't know. I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Farina, it's like a dream being able to speak with you up close. Like, I've heard that the first member of our family...
What is it?
Are you crying?
Really now? I didn't even notice. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is the waters.
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then. Oh, Archon, I am honored to have witnessed it. Honored indeed.
So interminable. So lonely. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps I never imagined. Have I reached my limit? I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. I've conducted so many investigations across the centuries. But there's not... All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this act. It is the only way to save Fontaine. Please, mirror me. You have to succeed.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people are more than willing to share your burden with you.
Share my burden. That that's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it with me. I'm what you'd call a witness.
A witness? Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? He's right. I could confide in him, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as no, Farina, you should. But what if, Farina, you've worked so hard for so. Is it such an outrageous? If you let this opportunity slip through your fingers, it might never come by again. Think about it, long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness.
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most tragic fate. It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half the truth. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is the most important thing.
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along. Am I right?
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Farina suffered? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the Oratrice. But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to Fontaine. The vast majority had to be, accumulated to enact this death sentence.
It was all part of your plan, then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent...
returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human existence itself. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontanians as humans and their right to exist in this world would be Fontaine's original justice. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation of that existence. Defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on, that should be the justice enthroned over all others. At this point, Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an...
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too, at last. I now... In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living... You are a devious one, Focalors. Things being as they are. Surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Judex Nuvelet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven. I see the val-
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that something huge just happened.
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved,
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
Didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be defeated?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from that creature. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring Narwhal. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come.
But how are we going to do that? It's huge!
I've already done my best to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from the way. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon. We shall look for an opening together. I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
Solidify!
Shine down!
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Its will present itself.
Solidify!
Why is there a hole thingy over there? It's really scary!
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Gather!
Illusion shattered!
Be sanctified. Justice is blindsided.
Solidify!
Silence!
thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but... oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder. I suppose I'll have to swing my sword 3 million times as penance.
That power. Who are you exactly?
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, right? It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is its looks. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master. Wait, is that right?
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sertologi.
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then? Have you heard of the name The Fowl?
The Fowl?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary? Vetterfulnir then? Or Gold Rhine-Daughter?
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhine-Daughter's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually know them either. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhine-Daughter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite catch their name.
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the heavenly principles.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Furina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Initiate emergency rescue!
Hurry! Hey, lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding! It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong! The prophecy was wrong!